Welcome to this edition of InsurTech Talk, brought to you by Avast. Our hosts today are Kitty Ambers, Chief Growth Officer at Avast, and George Robertson, Business Development Consultant and Authority on Insurance Technology. Now, here are your hosts, Kitty Ambers and George Robertson.
Well, hello and welcome back to InsurTech Talk. Our goal with this short, content-rich format is to provide actionable insights that will help independent insurance agents navigate their businesses. Each month, we feature a specific topic that's based on questions and input from our participants. We encourage you to use the question box in GoToWebinar to ask questions along the way. We'll respond to your questions within 24 hours of viewing. For those of you who are new to InsurTech Talk, my name is Kitty Ambers, and in my more than 3 decades in the insurance industry, I have worn many, many hats. I started out in our family-owned agency, spent several years with a startup insurance carrier, have served as an association executive in several not-for-profit organizations in the industry, and currently am the Chief Growth Officer at Avast, an InsurTech startup. Joining me is Mr. George Robertson of George Robertson Consulting, and George has a very diverse background in our industry and is a knowledgeable technology enthusiast. George, thank you so much for joining me in this endeavor. Could you share a bit about your background in our industry?
Sure, Kitty. As you know, my background is in technology and insurance. I started my career with Data General as a programmer back in 1984 and worked for several technology firms over the next 10 years. In 1994, I moved back to my hometown, purchased my father's insurance agency, which allowed me the opportunity to combine the knowledge of insurance and technology. My passion for the insurance industry and technology has provided me with the opportunity to serve on the Agents Council for Technology Executive Board, where I was able to assist in guiding agents, carriers, and MGAs on this ever-changing world of InsurTech. Over the past 15 years, I have had the opportunity to work on several major insurance technology vendors, serving in different roles from sales to business development.
Well, George, again, thank you for joining me. And it's that time of year again, where we take some time to reflect on the past and plan for the coming year. And as I look back, I realize that we've only been doing InsurTech Talk for a few short months, but we've covered a lot of ground already. We have reviewed fundamentals for embracing InsurTech. We've given tips for successful technology implementation, and we've provided guidance around selecting an agency management system. And by the way, if any of these topics pique your interest, you can find the past episodes at avast.com/blog.
That's right. I feel like we're accomplishing most of what we set out to do with this program. Our goal was to share our years of collective experience in order to help our audience see business and process improvements by providing practical and actionable tips for implementing technology. Ultimately, we desire to see independent agents better positioned to enhance customer experience and increase agency profitability.
And as I think about it, this endeavor has been an interesting challenge. One of my passions is to, as I call it, watch the lights go on. And in a workshop or classroom setting, it's so much easier as you watch people's faces to see if things you say actually resonate. In this online setting, it's much more difficult because you have to rely on feedback that you receive through chat or comments or follow-up emails. So the format does require us to focus on crafting concise messages that have true impact and value. Otherwise, folks just turn us off and move on with their day.
Kitty, I can sense that you're at that point in the year where you're doing some personal and professional reflection. Maybe that's how we landed on today's InsurTech Talk topic.
Well, that's a pretty good observation, George. As we count down 2019 and look toward the new year, I think it's only natural to be thinking about what went well, what didn't go so well, and what would we like to change going forward. A new year always brings about the idea of resolutions. And today we want to share some practical ideas for helping to turn resolutions into reality. By definition, a resolution is the act of or process of resolving, such as the act of analyzing a complex notion into simpler ones. I like the idea of taking something complex and making it simpler. How about you?
Agreed. As we think about the speed of business today, specifically technology, it's so easy to become overwhelmed, which leads to burnout and then ultimately surrender. Or better said, we tend to just give up, Kitty. That's what seems to happen with many resolutions. We make them, we blow it, so we just give up.
Well, that's kind of been my experience too. So, to help folks keep that from happening in the coming year, in their business and even in their personal resolution setting, today we're going to share 3 keys for turning resolutions into reality.
Yes, Kitty, these 3 keys are to learn how to craft meaningful goals, understand how best to communicate those goals, and schedule time to review goals regularly, which improves accountability and ultimately leads to a higher frequency of achievement. Kitty, you've shared with me that you used to struggle with goal setting, but have learned a better way that has helped you turn resolutions into reality. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. For many, many years, I fell into that New Year's resolution cycle of setting and then quickly abandoning my goals. And a couple of years ago, I learned a better way to craft goals that were sustainable. I have to say that it isn't anything I came up with on my own. I have to credit Michael Hyatt, his book entitled Your Best Year Ever, and his podcast, Lead to Win. These are the places that I learned these insights I'm about to share. Michael took the concept of SMART goals that I think many of us have learned through the years along the way, but he takes it a step farther. He provides a smarter goal setting framework. Our first of the 3 keys for turning resolutions into reality is to craft meaningful goals. Michael says that great goals check 7 boxes, and this 7 boxes coincidentally line up with the acronym SMARTER. So starting with S, the first thing great goals are is specific. We have to keep in mind that being focused lends power. By knowing exactly what you wish to accomplish, it's so much easier to effectively channel your energy and say no to things that are distracting. So, for example, the idea of saying implement a new phone system is pretty vague. There are so many steps needed to actually make that happen. So we need to get specific by saying something like, survey our team to determine necessary phone system features. That's specific.
Yes, and as I understand the framework, the second quality of a great goal is for it to be measurable so you can track progress. Continuing your example, you might add, survey our team to identify the top 5 necessary phone system features. This makes us home in even further on what's most important. To share just another possible example is the New Year's elephant in the room. So many of us have a resolution to lose weight or get in shape. But to get specific and make it measurable, we need to say we want to lose 10 pounds at a rate of 2 pounds per week.
Have you been reading my goals for 2020 already, George? Those health and
I might look at mine.
Well, the health and fitness goals are always the one I struggle with the most, despite having a great goal-setting framework, but I can digress. Let's jump back into our acronym. The A in SMARTER stands for actionable. And the biggest key here is to start your goal statement with a verb. Use an action word. Notice in our phone system example, we say survey. We're going to take that action.
Yes, and point 4 is intriguing to me. The first R stands for risky. When I first learned about SMART goals, the R stood for realistic. What's important about making a goal risky versus realistic?
Well, Michael Hyatt's philosophy is that we often set the bar too low because failing feels like losing. So we set ourselves up for success by making our goals easy. In reality, we're better served if we set goals that stretch and challenge us, even if we end up falling a bit short. Looking at our simple phone system example, it's indicating change. Change is hard. So even hinting that we're going to be changing something with our staff is risky, right?
Yes, indeed. Avoiding change or not rocking the boat is definitely easier than trying to get people to embrace something brand new and unknown.
Well, that's why this whole goal setting framework can be so helpful. It sort of makes things feel very systematic and much more automatic. You're basically planning your work and then working your plan. So embracing change just becomes part of the process.
Well, it's easy to say someday, but someday isn't a day of the week. So our goals must be time keyed, which is the T in smarter. Time keyed might refer to a specific deadline. For example, we want to survey our team to identify the top 5 necessary phone system features by the end of Q1 2020. This is considered an achievement goal. We desire to achieve something by a certain date.
Right, and so often this is where we can get ourselves overwhelmed. We set so many achievement goals that all come due at the same time, like the end of next year. So it's best to really spread things out. Try not to take on more than 3 major projects per quarter. A bit different than an achievement goal is what's called a habit goal. These two can come with all the criteria we've already talked about, but the time key is something phrased like every morning or 3 days a week. It's about creating a habit, which is often how we meet the health and fitness goal resolutions we make. The habit goal is written something like run for 30 minutes at 7 a.m. each weekday morning.
That's an interesting distinction. I can see where a habit goal might become part of an achievement goal as well. So let's move on to E.
Great. E is one of my favorite components and part of what makes SMART goals even smarter. The E is for exciting. Here's where things really turned around for me personally with making resolutions become reality. I figured out that I was making resolutions based on what other people expected or what others told me I needed to accomplish, not what was most inspiring to me. So by adding this component, I'm energized by my goals and I tend to stay motivated. I think it's an interesting concept for business owners to keep in mind, especially managers who are involved in setting goals for their team. Think about involving the team in the goal-setting process so that this element of excitement can be incorporated on a personal level for all involved.
Yes, right along with making goals exciting is the final R. This additional component is to make the goal relevant within the overall context of life. The idea behind this is to keep a balance, keep things in alignment. So often we set unrealistic goals. They get abandoned quickly because they just don't fit with everything else we're trying to accomplish. For example, back to our fitness goal. It's difficult to meet your goal, run for 30 minutes at 7 a.m. each morning when you've got a broken ankle. I know that's simplistic, but that's so often what we do to ourselves. Then we wonder why our resolutions don't become reality.
George, you are so right, and you've summed up exactly why I was missing so many of my New Year's resolutions. They were out of sync with the demands at different times of my life. I hope that by trying out this smarter framework, others will find the same peace that I have with regard to the stress around goal setting and New Year's resolutions. But success doesn't come simply by writing out smarter goals.
Yes, our second key for turning resolutions into reality centers on communicating your goals. I found that there's a twist to this, however. You share your goals with a close friend or maybe your spouse or significant other, a business coach or mentor, or some other trusted advisor because you want their support and an accountability partner. These are the people that when things get tough or you've missed a deadline or milestone, that they help you get back on track. Choose these confidence wisely. Nothing is more derailing to achievement than having your balloon burst by someone you trust to support you. Next, you also share your goals most often in a business scenario with your team. This is critical to driving your business forward, whether that's with growth goals, system improvement goals, or some kind of transition goal. Keep the team involved from the start, and you'll see amazing things happen.
So what I hear you saying is that by sharing our goals with other people, we're setting ourselves up to be held accountable, and I love that. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately for me, my husband is an excellent accountability partner when it comes to health and fitness goals. All he has to say is, "Did you get your walk in this morning?" And I know the question is coming, and the guilt I feel when I have to tell him, "No, didn't get it done today," that keeps me motivated. So this whole idea of accountability is actually our third and final key for turning resolutions into reality.
Yes, it's important to schedule time regularly to review our goals so that we stay focused on them. Remember back to the S for specific and the E for exciting? Being specific gives us focus, and having goals that are exciting keeps us inspired and motivated.
Well, I personally use another Michael Hyatt concept that I learned in his Free to Focus workshop. He calls it the 3x3 matrix, which basically encourages a systematic way to review annual goals on a daily, weekly, and quarterly basis. We talked about the need to spread goal achievement dates out across the year. That's where breaking those annual goals into quarterly milestones or focusing on certain goals during certain quarters of the year comes in. Now, based on what Michael calls the weekly preview, you take time out to review accomplishments of the past week and identify 3 big actions that need to be completed during the coming week to move your quarterly goals forward. This takes about 30 minutes a week. I tend to sit down on Sunday evening and get it done. Now, these 3 weekly objectives then get broken down into what he calls the daily big 3. These are daily actions that lead to those weekly objectives. They're the must-dos for each day. This provides a lot of focus in getting to those weekly big 3 goals. So setting the right daily big 3 requires a daily review of your annual goals or at least your quarterly goals so that you're sure you're staying on track. And again, it takes 5 minutes in the morning and you're set for the day. There is a significant amount of discipline and time management required, however, to master this concept of accountability. So in the business setting, I also advocate a standing monthly report out on the status of the goals that your team is striving to achieve. Keep them in the know. This keeps them motivated. And one bonus item that I encourage you to consider as you craft your smarter goals or your New Year's resolutions is to jot down what the reward for achieving that stated goal will be. Gives you something to look forward to. Envision reaching your milestone and winning the prize that you've defined for yourself.
Yes, Kitty. And I think we've given our participants a lot to think about in the closing weeks of the year. What a great way to set the new year up right with resolutions that can become reality. I'm excited to get started on my own. I intend to use the 3 keys we outlined today. Craft meaningful goals using the SMARTER framework. Communicate the goals to a trusted advisor, coach, and my team. And finally, schedule time to review my goals on a daily, weekly, and quarterly basis with a monthly report out to my team and advisors.
Well, I certainly wish you and everyone else the best in putting these ideas to work. I know it's been liberating for me, and I continue to work on the mechanics to make these incremental improvements in business and in life. So, George, as we think about the coming year and goal setting around technology, what are some of the more popular business goals you see in agencies today?
Well, Kitty, of course, growing our business, but I think we look at that as well as increasing close ratios could be a great example, or increasing leads into the agency, which might involve, a social media strategy, or increasing cross-selling. We talk about that all the time, right? We always talk about how we're going to cross-sell.
Sure. Yep.
And improving self-service opportunities for your customers. Maybe having an online portal, or helping to reduce your service time touches by not only having that online portal, but maybe have it set up where they can make their payments online, or something where they can get access where they're not calling the agency and asking questions that could be answered from somewhere online that you've got on your website.
Right. And, all of those are terrific examples and can be very, very demanding goals to complete. So, it's a great opportunity to take one of these ideas and sort of put it into that smarter framework of, making it specific, making it measurable, making it actionable, all of those things that we spelled out. And so if we take one of your examples here, what about a sample business development goal? And we kind of came up with a little statement here. Do you want to share how we broke this goal down and tried to follow the smarter framework as an example?
Sure, absolutely, Kitty. So this particular goal is to increase new business leads by 15% a month, which is specific and measurable, over a month, using targeted Facebook advertising, highlighting video of our helpful agency personnel, serving our clients. Our budget will be $50 per month.
I think that hits on a lot of the components there. We have the time bound. We're going to do it each month,
Right.
month over month, over the course of a year. We've got a growth goal we can measure. We've got the 15% in there. We have a bit of a budget we can measure against and how much dollars we're going to spend. And to me, the fun part or the exciting part is, that we're going to engage our staff and our clients in creating this video exposure for great stuff. So, it's a little bit of an example to kind of put all of this into play for our viewers and give them an idea of what this can look like. Because as you mentioned, increasing close ratios, increasing cross-selling, all of those things need to be broken down and put through the smarter framework. Any other questions that come to mind? Oh, go right ahead.
One more thing I'd say there, we probably should put something in there for a reward. So if we meet that goal, maybe we all go out for ice cream.
There you go.
That might affect our personal goals. So we have to be careful with that.
Yeah, we want them to be aligned, right? We need them to be relevant and in sync with our life mission. So ice cream might not be the greatest, but maybe a walk in the park or a day at the movies, that could be fun. So.
Great idea.
Well, great. Well, thanks for your ideas and your conversation today. We hope folks will join us for our January episode when we're going to talk about getting started on LinkedIn. It's amazing how long LinkedIn has been around, but it seems that there are still folks out there who are asking for assistance in how best to use it to grow their network, grow their personal and business brand, connect with the right people with the right kind of messaging. So we're going to touch on those ideas next month. As a reminder, InsurTech Talk is brought to you by Avast. For insurance professionals seeking to eliminate inefficient workflows, Avast technology brings together all players in the industry's ecosystem, including agents, brokers, carriers, MGAs, wholesalers, and even other tech firms. The Avast team comprises entrepreneurs, insurance experts, and technology advocates who for years have campaigned to improve the experience for both the insurance professional and the consumer. At Avast, we envision a world where confident insurance professionals deliver an enjoyable customer experience without paper or error. You can find out more by visiting us at avast.com. Also, I'd like to give a big thank you to George Robertson of George Robertson Consulting. George is a knowledgeable resource on insurance technology matters and can be reached directly at grobertson@georgerobertsonconsulting.com. If you have topics or ideas you would like on future issues of InsurTech Talk, please email me at kitty@avis.com. Thank you, and good luck with those resolutions.